This is huge beer. Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. We are very proud, of course, to be part of the Variety Sports Network, and the show originates from the Frank Walker Law Studio. And I would also like to just add, if I could do a little patting on the back here, okay? Now, we received word today from the fine folks at FeedSpot. Now, if you're not familiar, FeedSpot is basically a company that sends out all of your podcasts, okay? Disseminates those out to Apple and Google
Gang's all here
and all that. And they said that we have been selected as one of the top Steelers podcasts. Now, I promise I did not bribe anyone. I did not, I don't have like naked pictures of anyone, nothing like that. It just so happens that we must put on a pretty good production, but in all seriousness, thanks to you guys, the listeners and the viewers. You're the ones that got us this really nice honor. So, because we're just four idiots, quite frankly. So you enjoy the show, and we enjoy you. So thank you very much. It's a very nice honor. Welcome in, guys. We were going to talk a little boring OTAs and some TJ and a few other things. And I was thinking this morning, I'm like, this show's not even going to be an hour. I mean, there's just not a lot. And then all of a sudden, Adam Schefter puts out there that the Steelers are talking to the Dolphins, not for a wide receiver, not for a quarterback, a tight end. Ben, I'm throwing this to you first. Why would the Steelers be interested in another tight end?
Well, first off,
yeah,
I don't think it's going to happen. Okay. I want to be clear. I don't think it's going to happen. John Newsmith wants a new deal. He had a very good year last year. If he comes to work for the Steelers, it's not going to be as a tight end 3. It's probably going to be as a tight end 1, replacing Freiermuth, who, I don't think he's overpaid, but I don't think he's that good. But anyway, why would they want him? They're desperate for pass catchers. Bottom line, they are desperate for pass catchers. And this dude averaged 8 yards a target last year on 111 targets, had 8 touchdown catches, 55 first downs. So 1 out of every 2 times they threw him the ball, he moved the chains. He had a pretty successful season. I don't see any downside really there in terms of offensive production. That's why they want him. That, and he's due $4.8 million. Granted, though, he's gonna want an extension if he comes to work for the Steelers, which he isn't going to do. But if he did come to the Steelers, he'd want an extension and he'd want a big raise.
Let me follow up, Ben, with you real quick. Then why, if the Steelers know that he's going to want a big raise, why would they even go down this road? They just paid Pat Freiermuth $50 million. I thought that's what it was, wasn't it? I mean,
most of that guaranteed cash is paid out already, and
right.
I mean, they can hang him out there as trade bait if they needed to, and I mean, the fans wouldn't love it, but I don't think Freiermuth's that good. Let's put it this way: Heath Miller is not a Hall of Famer. Freiermuth is not even in his class. He's not.
No argument. Ian, when you saw this news, your first thought was?
My first thought was that we're doing the whole joke about why don't they build the whole plane out of the black box, except with building our whole offense out of tight ends. I mean, how many tight ends do we need? Now, thinking more about it, Smith has been relatively healthy. He's had some bumps and bruises throughout his career, but Freiermuth has missed some significant amounts of time, specifically with concussions, which when they extended him, we all talked on this show about being concerned about his longevity because of his concussion history. So there is that with Freiermuth. But I don't understand what they're doing with the offense, which probably shouldn't surprise anyone because I don't know if they know what they're doing with the offense. So I think
they're desperate, man.
They're desperate. You're right. And I think the other thing is I don't know necessarily if they will extend Jonnu Smith if they sign him, if they trade for him. They don't have to. And really, because his contract voids after this year. So he could come play this year for the Steelers on a basically $3.5 million base salary and then walk in free agency. And if he puts up big numbers because he's the second best receiver on our team, like Freiermuth was our second best receiver last year statistically. So if Smith puts up some big numbers this year, he might be able to cash in a little bit in free agency. So he could be looking at it as, hey, this team's desperate. They need playmakers. So this is an opportunity for me to get one last paycheck if I go out and perform this year. For the Steelers, it's the same logic about the Pickens trade, right? His contract void, so he's going to be a free agent. So you sign him, he plays for a year. Theoretically, you could get a comp pick in a couple of years in return for him if he walks. So I don't know if it's a guarantee that he gets a deal. Now he's 29 years old, so he's probably looking for that one last big contract and may want to sign it before he turns 30. But, you know, I'm arguing with myself here. Right? I'm trying to weigh both sides of the issue. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but at the same time, they're so desperate that, you know, it may be something that they do just because they're more desperate than anything else.
Scarps, do you think that this might indicate that they feel like they've exhausted, at least for the time being, they've exhausted the possibilities of bringing in a really good number 2 wide receiver? And now they're just looking for playmakers. It doesn't matter what 2 initials are next to their name.
I mean, he's not wide receiver 2 capable. I agree with Ben. I agree with Ian. I don't know what they're doing. I do agree that they're desperate.
88 catches last year.
88 catches in a Mike McDaniel offense, and I would really like to have Mike McDaniel in this offense. You know,
I don't disagree with that.
Maybe he's not the greatest head coach, but he's actually doing a decent job in Miami. But 88 catches last year on an offense that featured Tyreek Hill and also Jalen Waddle, and those guys missed some time. Miami had a really good running attack with I never know how to pronounce it. A chain, is that right?
A chain.
2 chains.
You know, I used to call Landry Jones
in a new Bugatti.
2 first downs was all he could get in any given drive.
I love it.
Outstanding.
You revived that, Ian.
Outstanding.
And you know, our friend of the show, Derek, Steelers DB, was talking about this a little bit earlier, and he talked about him being sort of like the gadget guy, and I totally understand where he's coming from. But you know, he has familiarity with Arthur Smith in Tennessee and in Atlanta, and I know Ben hates fantasy football here, understood. But as a Kyle Pitts owner in fantasy football multiple years, and I will never draft that dude again. In 2023, Jonnu Smith was like the TD vulture for him. The other thing about Jonnu Smith that he does is that he catches a lot of screens, and we can't execute a screen pass to save our life.
No.
I also wonder where this information is coming from because teams call one another all the time.
Yes.
All the time. And I don't understand why every time the Steelers make a phone call now, it's the most trending topic, and it's almost like
no.
And it's like
the Dolphins might have called.
And who's leaking this, right? Is it someone from the Steelers to show that, hey, we're doing our due diligence, we're trying to acquire talent,
his agent,
and then and then his agent also might be like, hey, hey, Miami, this guy wants to stay here, he wants a little bit of a raise, he doesn't want to go somewhere else. Pittsburgh's interested, he has familiarity with Arthur Smith. But then the other thing is recent. There was this recent report that the Steelers are looking at one of the wide receivers from the Buccaneers, who's like fucking 6th on the depth chart.
Yeah, Palmer.
And I'm just like sitting there like laughing. It's just like, anybody that has legs right now that is running routes in the NFL is on the Steelers' radar.
Honestly, Palmer is not a guy I would look at, but any of their first 4 receivers from Tampa, I would take in a flash.
Well, they just drafted one. They just re-signed Godwin.
And he's the guy they just drafted is their number 4 wide receiver. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and McMillan's like the odd man out. But if I'm Tampa Bay, why would I get rid of him? And honestly, you wouldn't be getting McMillan for you'd be giving up a pretty decent pick for McMillan.
I agree. And if you're Tampa, you look at those you look at this situation based upon not necessarily just value to the offense, but contract. Like, how long do we have this guy? At what price?
Mm-hmm.
And does that make him more tradable? That's all.
Yeah, and just my final point is that this is what happens when you go into yet another offseason with way too many question marks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just going to blame Omar for that. I'm going to blame Mike.
Yep.
Omar, Art. Andy.
Yep. Everybody.
Anybody, because as much as I love that George Pickens is no longer a Steeler, they again didn't have some sort of plan in place. I really don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't understand it. And so for all the people are like, oh, the Steelers are gonna shock some people this year. I'm like, and what? Get the 9 wins again? Like, is that because they're not equipped to be a competitor. They're not.
I'm not sure if you brought this up on the show or if it was a tweet, but I thought you hit the nail on the head. You're like, this team is rebuilding. This is what it looks like when the Steelers rebuild. They're not going to tank. And, I guess in a sense, it's kind of a sexy tank. Like, they're half-ass trying not to be a shitty team.
Yeah.
But this is definitely a long-term plan. Okay. Mm-hmm. For all of the lip service they give us every year, we're trying to win a Super Bowl this year. We're trying to win a Super Bowl every single year. They're not trying to win a Super Bowl this year, nor were they last or the year before. They know the situation they're in, and I think their plan is a long-term plan. We're going to get this year, and then next year we're going to get that taken care of, and we'll have all these things sewn up. Hopefully they take care of it before the air comes out of the tire on the defense, because eventually that's going to happen.
Yes, it is.
How many more All-Pro years? How many more All-Pro years does Cam Hayward have left?
Not many.
Not many. Ian, you had a point to make.
And I got one more. I have one final.
Very good. Then we'll go 1 point, 2 point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Red point, blue point.
There you go.
Here's a guy who reads Dr. Seuss to his kids.
I know them all.
Yeah. No, I think Ben absolutely hit the nail on the head when he said half-ass trying, because that's like the description I've been looking for how they approach free agency. It's like, we're going to sign these guys to 1-year contracts who were good like 6 years ago. Like 6 years ago, if you would tell me we signed Darius Slay in free agency, I'd be like, all right, this is amazing. But now when he's like 34 years old, I'm like, he had a good year last year, but is he still going to be good at, in his mid-30s? And I don't know. So I think half-ass trying is a great way of putting it, that like all the guys they signed pretty much are aging veterans on 1-year deals. And even the Aaron Rodgers thing, it's still the same half-ass trying, right? It's like an aging veteran on a 1-year deal. It doesn't hamstring your cap long-term, but it makes it look like you're sort of trying this year while you still acquire pieces that you can fit into the puzzle for the long term. So I think that's a really good way of describing how they've approached this offseason, that they're looking for key pieces for the long term, and they did some of that through the draft with Harmon on the defensive line, hopefully becoming a stalwart there, and maybe Caleb Johnson becomes the fixture and the starting running back, and you've got two offensive tackles that you've drafted in the first round the last couple years before this year. So they're starting to build while still trying to field a team with veterans on it. So yeah, Ben nailed it with the half-ass job.
Yeah. Reginald, welcome to the show. Great to have you. I wish I wish I had Reginald's optimism. I'll just admit that. Go ahead.
I want to ask Reginald a quick question. He believes they're going to get their wide receiver too, and he's absolutely within his rights.
They've got draft capital to
absolutely
trade.
They do. My question, Reginald, for you is: do you think they're going to get their QB1? Because they don't have one.
We don't need no stinking QBs.
Yeah, the Steelers have been a very hot topic for about the last. Well, I mean, you could argue through the entire offseason as long as the Rodgers drama has gone on, but this week, I mean, there were people taking some shots. I mean, everybody from Keyshawn Johnson to
deserved it.
Emmanuel Acho going after Tomlin. And look, I think most of it is valid because they're attacking the fact that they just did not have a plan, and now here they are. They're stuck with Mason Rudolph or stuck with Aaron Rodgers, and what really is going to be the significant difference win to win. If Rodgers is there, what does that get you? 1 or 2 more wins? Maybe. Yep. I think most
one in Chicago. That's it.
Yeah, the one in Chicago, guaranteed.
Yes,
maybe
finally win there
just for that game. So it's here's my question, Scarps. I'll ask you this.
Okay,
you are Mike Tomlin or Omar Khan, either one, and Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt come walking into your office and they say, "Hey, man. We're getting up there in age. What are we doing on offense? Well, what's the plan here? Is there anything you can possibly say that's going to appease those guys?"
I'm gonna answer your question in a second, but I want to get back to Reginald's question.
Yeah.
And I would say that I'd respond with a question and say, who's going to be the wide receiver 2 out there? Like, what are your expectations for a wide receiver 2? Online today, people are like, it's going to be Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is a wide receiver 1. He is not a wide receiver 2.
And that never giving him up.
Right. I mean, right. Like they're working on something special in DC. And I'll tell you what, Debo Samuel is not the wide receiver 1 in there. So like, it's like, what are your expectations? Like, is that wide receiver 2 going to be better than Calvin Austin or Robert Woods?
Anyway, isn't that the gray area though? Some of us look at a number 2 and say, "Oh yeah, he's a number 2." Then other people look at a guy and say, "Well, he's a number 2," and everybody goes, "No, he's not."
Because for example, they had a wide receiver 2 in George Pickens, and they traded him away because he's a dumb fuck. But
yeah, fair.
T. Higgins could be a wide receiver 1 on probably a lot of other teams. Yeah. They're not going to find another T. Higgins. Like, they're not going to find a T. Higgins out there. They're going to trade for a T. Higgins. So I'm just curious what those expectations are. Anyway, get back to your point is if TJ and Cam walk into my office and I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm going to look at both of them and say, "Hey, maybe you could fucking do something in the playoffs."
I knew you were going there.
Yeah, but let me ask you this.
Hold on. No, I'm going to say.
Let me ask you this.
I want him to get his
point.
Right,
finish it.
But just like, I want to be like, maybe, I know our offense, even with Ben, who had turnovers, and then you have Mason in Buffalo, but it's just like, dudes, maybe you guys could make a play for a couple plays and get off the field and not let your division rival run it down your throat. Like, that's what I would say. I'd challenge them. I'd be like, we'll handle that shit. You handle your business, because they never handle their business.
You're absolutely right. I can't argue with anything. I will admit I threw that softball to you because I knew that's how you were going to answer, and you did not let me down. However, would they have a point though? I mean, Cam Hayward. Look, guys, I'm trying to get to a Super Bowl here. I don't want to be one of those Steeler guys that never wins a Super Bowl. And I now I'm looking at I got Mason and maybe Will Howard. I mean, what are we doing here?
Okay, well, then I would say, listen. Go ahead.
How many fucking playoff games are they going to win without TJ and Cam? Okay,
they're not winning anything with them.
No.
Okay, so we should get even shittier because Isaiah Loudermilk would be a better option than Cam Hayward. What the hell are we talking about here? How many playoff games are they going to win without those guys? 0. In fact, it reduces their chances to do so.
To be fair, they won a lot of playoff games without them before they were here.
Right.
Before they were there. But they had a balanced team. They had a team that could play in all 3 phases. And this team, a stool should have 3 legs, okay? Our stool is teetery. You got one leg that's a lot shorter than the other 2. I'll just put it that way.
And here's my counter to that is that yes, Ben Roethlisberger, for as great as he was in the postseason, he was also awful at times.
Shit-tastic ball games.
That fucking Jacksonville game, he lost it by himself, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, but the defense got gashed by Leonard Fournette and Blake Bortles, and you know who was on those teams? Cam Hayward and T.J. Watt. The Browns playoff games, they got pushed around.
TJ wasn't on that team, I don't think.
What team?
Yeah, he was.
He was there.
Was he? Was he a rook?
Yes.
Yeah,
but he started.
Wait, no. TJ wasn't there for the Jaguars game.
Yes, he was.
Shit. Which Jaguars game?
2017?
Yes, he was drafted in 2017. He started that.
Oh, that was his rookie year. Okay, yeah.
And then the Browns game, you don't lose those 2 games at home. And you know what? They gave up okay, so Ben, I think the Jaguars had a defensive touchdown, or they didn't. Yeah, they did. The dude that he was a really good linebacker, and he didn't play after that. He had a touchdown, fumble return for touchdown. So they still gave up. I think they still gave up 38 plus points in both games. The defense allowed almost 40 points in both games.
The disadvantage the defense is in when your quarterback puts you in a 21-point fucking hole is now the offense can dictate what they're going to do. You cannot game plan for that. You cannot base your plan now upon, we think they're going to do this, because it all changes. You can throw it all out the window. There's no way to predict what's coming is my point. And they can slow it down, speed it up, change the pace, do whatever they want to do, run it when you think they're going to pass when you think they're going to run, because they got a 21-point lead. They can take all kinds of fucking chances because who cares? And when you're that much less predictable, your defense is at a huge disadvantage. Conversely, when you have an offense that can produce and can get a little bit of a lead and then sustain drives after the fact, now there's a sense of urgency on offense. You have to make something happen, and you become more predictable as a result, and your defense is at an advantage. That's all I want to say about it. Yeah. I agree with you that the defense did not play well enough in those games, but I think they were set up really poorly. Really fucking poorly. And I put most of that on Ben, not just because he was the leader of the offense, but because he played particularly shitty in those games.
You can't turn the ball over 3 times in the first quarter and spot teams a 21-point lead in the playoffs.
Exactly.
No. Totally agree.
I mean, same thing going back to the Super Bowl against Green Bay, right? They spotted them 21 points because Ben threw 2 picks. One of them was a pick 6, basically.
Yeah, but that Packers team had obviously maybe our future quarterback. That Packers team was good.
They were good. They were good. Yeah,
and they had good coaching. The Jaguars were fucking terrible. Doug Marrone was not a good coach, and they couldn't stop Leonard Fournette. And Blake Bortles.
Fournette was a monster that year, though. I gotta give him props, but Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles should not have been in that position.
What is Bortles doing now? Like running a car wash?
Selling
or something?
insurance. Selling
But
insurance.
that's God. TJ Watt was mentioned, and I would be just way off base if I didn't discuss him briefly. He is not at OTAs, which I want to make sure everyone understands they are voluntary.
Yeah.
Okay, they are voluntary. And he is under contract, but Ben, I'm going to throw this to you because you made this point, and then I echoed it last night when I did the Inside Blitz, our little short form podcast thing, about the money that he's going to want and how it compares to the cap.
Oh, well, basically this. TJ may be sitting home because he wants a bigger contract and he's flexing his muscles, or he may be sitting home because he's got an infant at home and it's newborn. It's his first time ever experiencing this. And he's trying to help his wife. I don't know. But the bottom line is
how many kids do you have? Are you still working?
I have one more kid than the Steelers have Super Bowls.
And you went to work, right?
I took a couple weeks off, but I got 2 weeks off.
Same.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, the guy's already making $30 million a year, so let's fucking throw a fucking pity party for him. All right, I'm being a dick now. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Bottom line is this: as far as the money goes, I know $40 million is a lot of money. Okay,
sure,
but if you just look at that as a percentage of the cap, $40 million this year is a lower percentage than $28 million was the last time they did his deal. And I'm pretty sure that Omar and Watt's agent can both do the math. So this deal is getting done.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just a question of when. And everybody will bitch and squawk and blah about it. And I get that. But they did the same thing last year with Cam. Well, should you really do that with Cam? I don't know. Cam's getting old and he could. And I don't know. And then Cam comes back and he delivers an all-pro year. Basically saying, fuck you guys. I remember what you said, and you guys can kiss my ass. So, all I'm saying is use your word, measure your words out carefully, because you have people on Twitter that are going to bookmark that shit and then come back and talk to you about it later because they're assholes.
Kind of like us. Ian, you want to make a point?
Yeah. So I agree with most of what Ben said. The one thing I'm going to push back on a little bit is that he said similar to Cam. The difference is TJ is a little bit younger and is going to get a lot more guaranteed money. What they did with Cam's contract was basically stuck all the guaranteed money in year one. So Cam's contract was functionally a 1-year contract with 2 team option years. That if they wanted to cut Cam after year one, if he wanted to retire, whatever, they could do it at minimal detriment to the salary cap. Whereas with TJ, there's going to be so much guaranteed money in that deal. They're going to have to guarantee multiple years of the contract. And that's just the way these contracts are now. The Steelers never used to do that, but the whole world has changed around them.
How much is that guarantee?
For Cam or for TJ?
For TJ. How much is that guarantee? Basing it upon, which deal you got to base it upon, which is a Garrett deal.
Right. Garrett got 123 guaranteed. Bosa
got he didn't get a fully guaranteed 123.
Oh, he got 88 fully guaranteed. Yeah.
Correct.
So, you're looking at 88 million fully guaranteed because that's what Garrett and Bosa got.
I think if you get 90 million guaranteed and you're at 40 and a half million per on an average basis, and not, hey, what's up, Zach?
Hey, Zach. Welcome in, man. It's been a long time.
Finally, a good Steelers podcast. What a jackass.
Zach's a good dude. We like Zach in his podcast too. He's done some good work. Yes.
If you get him 90 million a year and 90 million a year, 90 million guaranteed fully, and you get him 40.5 million a year, this is going to happen, guys. And people are going to flip out about it. And again, doing the math, and the cap just keeps growing exponentially. And his agent's also going to point this out. He's going to be like, 40 million a year in 3 years is going to be a bargain. And he's not wrong.
No. Well, so and the conclusion of my point, though, is whereas Cam's deal was essentially a 1-year deal with team option years, TJ's deal with the guaranteed money that they're going to have to give him is going to be you're going to be tied to him for probably 3 years, which, okay, fine. It is what it is. But you're not going to be able to get out of that deal right away like you could with Hayward's deal.
Yeah, I see exactly where you're going, Ian. It makes total sense.
I think they're going to pay out Hayward's deal.
Yeah, I mean, he could play it out.
He's got these monstrous roster bonuses that are due every year, like about March 17th ish.
Yep.
And if the Steelers don't pay it, he's a free agent. So basically, it's a huge roster bonus plus a minimum salary every year.
Yeah.
I'm with you. It's going to happen. With TJ at some point, and I think I speak for all of us when I say I don't think anybody in that organization is fretting over the fact he's not there right now. He's a veteran. He's been through this before. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But
yeah, throw that out there.
Ben is talking like a corporate accountant, yet he still hasn't paid his Meals on Wheels.
So.
Scarps, go for it.
Yeah, so like, and I want to be clear because people are starting to say that I'm a TJ hater. I don't hate TJ at all.
Boomer hater. Get it right.
I don't hate TJ at all.
Boomer.
I absolutely know that
Scarps hates everybody equally. It's fine.
Fair.
Equal opportunity hater. It's an EOH.
Fair. I know they're going to get a done deal, deal done with TJ, and I get it, and I know it's going to happen. I'm not going to crash out or whatever the
what
lingo
does that mean?
Whatever the lingo is. I don't know if I don't know if I would make that move. I just don't, and I think that's more than fair to ask that question.
I think it's fair to raise the point. Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say. And to defend TJ, and here we go, to defend him, I did some research this week.
Oh, whoa. I need like a sound effects here. Like, yeah.
So you need a soundboard, Mark.
I you know what? That's the next big purchase, I think, Ian.
So there are 35 players who have recorded 105 or more sacks. And TJ is one of them. Okay?
Yep.
TJ is one of them. And he has the fewest games played out of the group. Okay?
Yeah.
Like it.
Among that same group, he also has the fewest postseason games played. So there's time, right? There's time.
Yeah.
What really caught my attention, though, this is, and I know they don't play the same position.
Mm-hmm.
So TJ has 1 sack in 4 playoff games.
Yeah.
Not good enough. I mean, it's not. There's no doubt about it. A fellow by the name of Jason Taylor, who's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Good
Arguably one of the best pass rushers of all time. Different position. He was
a little bit.
He's a DN, hand on the ground. He had 0 sacks in 9 playoff games.
Wow.
I would not have.
I would not take that bet ever.
No, I wouldn't have.
Here's another.
That dude played his whole career to like 225.
Here's another eye opener. Different position. He was an end. Similar to the position Cam plays. In 15 career playoff games, Calais Campbell has 0 sacks.
Wow. I wouldn't take that bet either.
Man, I would have lost money.
So,
holy shit.
So I'm defending TJ in this right that there's still time for him to make the necessary plays, and I hope he gets that opportunity. But I still think it's more than fair to ask if signing him to a mega extension is the right move for this team long term.
There's nothing wrong with asking that question about any player for any mega contract, in my opinion.
Right.
I'm not saying that the answer is going to be, yes, this is a bad idea, but there's nothing wrong with asking the question.
Yeah.
So we all remember when Bill Belichick traded Richard Seymour
for a first-round pick.
Yeah, and I think there was,
and then he punched Ben in the face and got ejected.
Right.
Fair enough.
You're right.
That was fucking bizarre.
But I
Like
you know,
he punched him
remember
in the face mask.
there
Wasn't
was
like
a
he was
lot
gonna
of
do anything.
there was a lot of pushback against the hoodie genius. You know that why are you doing this? And you know, so I guess what I'm getting at is let's say that the Steelers do what Scarps is suggesting, and they let him play it out, or they trade him. I mean, what's worse, having him go on somewhere else and continuing an all-pro career, maybe winning some playoff games, or staying here and just finishing out with a nice average career, but he's a one helmet guy. I don't know.
I mean, we're the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? We're not. There's other organizations out there that don't care about the one helmet guy thing, but
That's very
part
true.
of the, for to use a Zoomer term, aura of this organization. Part of the aura of this organization is
What about the vibe?
The family atmosphere, the dedication to the team, and just the continuity and community around the team, right? Like, you don't see other teams that have, me and Joe Green or guys from the 70s or Hines Ward type players drop by, training camp and things like that, right? Like, you're not seeing guys from the Purple People Eaters defense drop by Vikings training camp, are you? Like,
I think they're all dead, actually.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Okay,
That
maybe that was a
example, yeah.
bit, not example.
I'm messing with
you know what I'm saying, though, right?
Yes,
Like other all right, the Orange Crush Broncos defense of the 80s, right? Like, you don't hear about those guys, like, and the Broncos are a pretty decent organization, but like, you don't hear about those guys like sticking with the organization even after they retire and being a part of it. That it's almost like a brotherhood almost, right? Of being part of a Pittsburgh Steeler. And you go back to Troy Polamalu's Hall of Fame speech, where he says the best compliment you can get from any Steeler is to have one of the old guys say, "You could have played with us." And you just don't see that with other organizations. And I think loyalty and dedication to the team, even to a fault of paying a guy after he's past his prime, and maybe he can't help you as much as he did in his prime, but that loyalty and dedication to a guy, I think, means a lot after they're done with football and helps keep them as kind of part of the family. And that's just the organization that we're a fan,
think it means a lot to the guys on the roster, the other guys that are around that guy. Yeah. It speaks volumes to the way the Steelers feel about those players, that not just treating them like they're an employee. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think that builds not just chemistry, but some honest to goodness team spirit, which you don't really see a lot in the pro level.
True.
The irony of that Troy speech is that when he said that, they showed Franco in the audience. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
They showed it, and
Dan,
Franco,
talk about Dan's feelings about that, my friend.
Yeah. Him and Rod Wood said, Franco and Rod Wood said biggest regrets. But like, you think about that, Franco, 4-time Super Bowl champ, as much as Joe Green helped turn this franchise around, I mean, I think Franco might even be
he's right up there with him.
Equally as important. I mean, only Franco, Joe Green, and Ernie Stoutner have their jerseys retired. Yes. Yeah. So it's just like, that means something. But, and again, my problem isn't with TJ. I think TJ, and I've said this so many times, TJ is all world, man. That guy's really great football player. Oftentimes my issues come with just fans who won't even explore an option to so if someone right now, and I think we talked about this on the show, but if a team right now said, we'll give you a first round pick in 2026 and a first round pick in 2027 for TJ Watt, I'd probably take that.
I might have to consider it.
And
absolutely.
And now I'm not saying that that's what it would be, right? I don't
Right,
even
you're
know-
just throwing out a
just saying that because there are teams in this league that are desperate. We all know this.
Yep.
That is a Browns type of move, and and they already have a guy that they just paid a huge extension to in Myles Garrett, who I said,
who absolutely was. He was like, nope, I'm not. I played my last. There's not even a conversation. There's not even a number. I'm not doing it. Forget it. Never mind. Oh, 40 million?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Done.
All right. Sure. I think I
can.
can win a championship here now for 40 million.
right. So, and I don't think TJ thinks that at all. I don't think TJ.
I don't think he does either.
But I just this whole no, he has to be a Steeler for life. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. And if Franco wasn't a Steeler for life, TJ Watt doesn't have to be a Steeler for life.
I mean, Franco played a stunted season in Seattle, and that was it. And then he was done.
And wasn't that sad?
It was.
It was very sad.
Right? I wasn't a lot. Only two of us on the show were alive for it, but
fuck you.
It was one of the most. Look, and Ben,
it was a heartbreaking moment. Honestly,
it was the strangest.
We were
thing.
kids. So that was like your hero leaving.
It was Ben.
Like Franco was my first jersey.
Shit, he was right up there with me. Yeah, he was one of mine too. And I just remember seeing him standing there in that helmet, and I struggled to understand it.
That and I mean, now I think the old school Seattle Seahawks unis are kind of cool. At the time, I was like, "This is fucking stupid."
Right, compared to what they were now.
It's a dumb fucking uniform. How can Franco be in that?
Yeah,
I mean, these are all like these were real thoughts at the time, in the moment.
I'm right with you. I want to turn to something a relatively new Steeler said this week, and that's Darius Slay.
Okay? Oh yeah.
Now, the topic of OTAs obviously has come up a lot, and people get way too bent out of shape about this stuff. They don't realize it's voluntary. They don't realize that some guys already have prearranged absences, things like this. But he was interviewed about why he's at OTAs. He's 34 years old, as Ian pointed out, and he said, this is where it starts. This is where championship football starts. Everybody has to buy in. This is the time that you need to be bought in. Guys have families. I have one as well. You want to be a champion? There are things you have to sacrifice, and this is one of the jobs I want to sacrifice. I want to come here, be on time, be present, let guys see my face, let them know it's important for me to be here, and I'm here to win. I fucking love that. Love that.
Was it worth 10 million?
I have no idea. I no idea.
Might have been. At today's rates for corners, I think that might have been worth $10 million.
Yeah, I mean, and look, Ian, is he taking a shot at Aaron Rodgers there, who isn't even under contract with the team? But is that what he's doing, or is he trying to just be a good veteran? What's he doing there?
I probably trying to be a good veteran and set the tone for the. You're welcome, Mark. You should read that comment out loud.
Yeah, notice Mark said Franco was almost his first jersey because his first was actually Bill Dudley. Yeah, fuck off, Ian.
Love you too,
anyway,
Mark.
continue.
No, I think he was trying to be a good veteran leader for the group. And I mean, this is a team, despite what I said earlier about their strategy in free agency was to sign a bunch of old guys to 1-year contracts. The old guys do need to teach the young guys how to be professionals. And some of that is going out there and saying things like this so that these young guys actually get it and understand what it takes. And coming from a guy like Slay, who won a Super Bowl and has been on a good organization.
He's been a consummate pro his entire career.
Exactly. So I think that does carry some weight.
Yeah, and I liked it, especially coming off the first couple days of where's
only
TJ?
time for ayahuasca. Nice.
Oh, Cliff.
Nice,
Cliff is on fire tonight. I think Cliff has gotten into a little bit of his own Kentucky
that was good.
Sour mash whiskey.
Kentucky sour mash whiskey, probably. That is good shit. I got to give him props.
Enjoying this evening as well. Yeah, Ian, I did not want to dismiss your conversation in the chat either. You were talking about retiring numbers, and
yeah, we can talk about that another time. I mean,
we will this summer when we have more downtime. But I do want to just acknowledge it and say that I think all of us agree we need to kind of hit the gas pedal here. There are some guys that need to be honored.
How many numbers can you really retire? I mean, you can run out of numbers.
Shit, the Yankees are basically using letters and decimal points now. I mean, I don't think there's. I mean, look, we've talked about it, but realistically, 58's got to have to be retired. 12's going to have to be retired.
After Aaron Rodgers wears it,
yes, Zach.
I'm telling you right now, if that motherfucker shows up and says, "I want 12," there's going to be a fight. I will drive to Pittsburgh and throw down with him.
You know what? I'm actually cool with. I mean, after all this, I'm sorry, we love you, Terry, but after all the dumb shit you've said over the number of years, and it's been a lot of dumb shit. Like, and it's repeated. It's over and over and over again. It's like you must do shows the way we do. You drink before you go on, because the shit you say, I'm like, wow, this dude has his own bourbon. I can tell because he's drinking it before he goes on and does interviews. What the fuck?
Well, and that's his own bourbon.
Yeah, I got a full bottle of batch number 1 still. I guess I better keep that because I haven't seen it in the store in a long time.
I'm concerned about that.
I want to make a point about Slay.
Yeah, go for
it. Sorry. So a reporter called him Darius, and he said Slay. Like
right. Thank you to Zach
normally I would hate there. Normally I would hate that, but like I actually like it because like he's like I don't really. I mean, I know obviously Lion, former Lion and Eagle, but like like I like it. It's like a villain story, like a villain origin story. Like but I would say that like he knows what it takes to win, and he also knows what it's like to be on a bad franchise, right?
Yeah, great point.
And and he's a vet. So I thought that was funny. I thought that was clever. So that's what I'm saying. Like, oh, and it's Twitch.
See, this is why Zach. We need this young blood once in a while.
Apparently, because what the hell is Twitch?
Oh, you know damn well Zach's on the PS5.
Yeah, I know what Twitch is, but I have never been on Twitch.
Right.
Okay, so we have
I'm sure Craig has though. He's a cantankerous old bastard.
Zach is all over this. This is what we need. It's like when no,
Aaron, you are not.
When Kenneth Gainwell was like, call me Kenny G.
Not only are you not young, Aaron, you're also from Ohio, which disqualifies you immediately as far as your opinions go.
All right, so Slay. All right, it's Slay. It's officially Slay. But
all we need now is Patrick Queen to come out and say, "Call me Queen," and we've got Slay and Queen on the defense. And all the Zoomers are going to be all in on us now.
Hell yeah! Now all we need is a king.
No, it's Slay Queen. Ben, you do not.
We did have Desmond King, but But we have Yaya. What is it? Is it Yaya? Is that how you pronounce it? The D.
No, it's YA.
YA.
Yeah.
YA Slay Queen.
To me, it looks like Yaya. I agree. Like
I thought that's what it was too.
Anyway, getting back to Slay. I don't really even think it was a shot at anyone. I think he was just speaking from himself. I don't really think he was thinking about Aaron Rodgers or anybody else that wasn't there.
I think he was talking to the other DBs.
I really do.
I think he was talking to the other DBs. He was like,
I'm good with that.
You need to get in here and you need to start working now.
And this is no disrespect to Patrick Peterson, but like I think Slay has a lot more left in him. I think Slay could still play. And I said
he played well last year, but
he
is up there.
And I want to give credit to the Eagles front seven for that. I mean, it's the ultimate team game. If you ask Polamalu why he was so successful, if you ask Polamalu why he was so successful, he would say LeBeau, and then he would talk about everybody in front of him. So like, I think that's good. But Slay wasn't there the first day, but like again, if he, excused absence, or whatever. But anyway, the point is like that's that type of, and I would even say the same for Robert Woods. Those are the type of guys that you need. And again, I don't expect this team to compete for a Super Bowl, but that type, like they lost in a Landon Roberts, who
I don't
won.
expect them to compete for the AFC North.
Fair enough, but they lost to Landon Roberts, who had won Super Bowls, right?
I know, dude, and that's
they're
actually a loss, man.
They're looking for Zach with a good comment again, but they're looking for.
Dude, look, I'm on to something.
That's
here.
what I'm saying. Like, they're looking for.
Contact Dan tomorrow and get.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Go ahead.
We're also forgetting our quarterback one right now, Rudolph. Slay, Rudolph, Queen.
Oh God!
I mean, who else is on the roster right now?
We have
a guy named Bells.
I want to go ahead and take this.
We had a bell.
Let's point out that Mason Rudolph is Scarp's favorite player ever, probably.
It is not.
Ever.
That is not true. Like, oh my God.
It's
I get
true.
defensive. I'm getting defensive.
The president of the Mason Rudolph Appreciation Society is.
That's bullshit. There's bullshit. I could name 3 people right now that would die for Mason Rudolph.
Yep.
Hey, I'll say this for Mason, man. He knows as well as all of us do that he's literally a signature on a line away from being completely irrelevant again. He knows it, and yet he comes every day. He's doing the job. He answers the questions. I have a lot of respect.
It's kind of cool this year, the way he's carrying himself, because it's like, pardon the expression, he ran out of fucks. Mm-hmm. I ran out of fucks. Yeah, I really don't have any to give you guys. All of my fucks are over here. You guys can. Yeah, I mean, I'll just answer you honestly, but I don't have any fucks. Just so you know, and it's nothing personal. I just don't have any left.
Yeah. Is that guy still on Twitter, Zach?
Yeah,
I think he got a new account though.
James? No, he doesn't. He's got the same account. James and Doug something or other. I can't remember. Yeah. Anyway, Doug has guaranteed us that Mason not only will be the starter this year, but the Steelers will go to the playoffs and win a playoff game. That's definitely going to happen.
Okay. That's
Scarps believes that too, even though he's trying to pretend that he doesn't. He does.
I'm going to keep saying this. I think
freak, amen, brother.
I think they win more games with Mason than they do Rodgers.
Wow.
I don't. However,
because Mason will listen. Mason will listen. He'll do as he's told.
Here's what I think about this is going to happen anyway. Like, we're all talking about how signing Rodgers will mean a win in Chicago for the first time in like decades. But
1-12.
I don't think Rodgers is going to be healthy. I don't think Rodgers is going to be healthy for that game. I think seriously,
he changed his name. I didn't see that. Ian's now Slay Queen. I didn't realize.
Did you really? Oh, that's nice. I didn't know you could do that.
This guy's.
Historically, going back, Ben hurt his elbow week 2 at the home opener versus the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Seahawks for the home opener week 2 this year, and we have potentially a 42-year-old quarterback who will probably get hurt, and we will never hear from him again. Like, he'll go on injured reserve and like leave. He won't be the guy who's hanging out on the sidelines.
He's going to
be part of the team. He's gone. And so week 12, he's not even going to be part of the team anyway. So they'll just be paying him, but he won't actually be there. I'm just saying. So regardless, we're never going to know whether or not Mason was better or worse than Rodgers, because we're never going to get an opportunity to find out.
That's right.
It's going to be about a week and a quarter of Aaron Rodgers, and then we're done.
Well, I slipped on the poor turf there at Acrisure.
Yep.
I want to switch gears here for a minute.
Sorry, can I just?
Yes.
And I don't know I don't know if this was a recent video or not,
All right.
but there was a video circulating over the weekend about Rodgers talking about HIV was like. Did you see that? There's like Rodgers talking about HIV was like.
Yes. He
was
said
like
it was an American
it was a
invention
government
type thing.
made or whatever.
Yeah.
And literally, and I've said this, but like Art and Aaron Rodgers talk, they sound the same when they talk.
Yes, they do.
So literally, like Aaron's like Aaron's just like HIV was man-made. It was released. It was a CIA. And then Art's just like, I cannot believe my maybe future quarterback just said this. It's just like
It's gonna be awesome.
Or like Art calls him,
fantastic.
hey, Aaron, it's Art. How are you doing? I'm good. I'm good, Art. How are you? Well, Aaron, just checking to see if you're interested in signing with us this week. I'm sorry, Art. I'm researching Diddy parties. You know, it's like what? I like that. That to me is the biggest. And I know Ben had his transgressions and all that shit.
Right.
The biggest thing to me is that there is such a political, philosophical difference between the owner of the Steelers and a quarterback that they're seeking, which makes me believe that it's a Mike decision to really 100%. Want Aaron.
Based on what I've been told, it's all about
and obviously
Mike
the reports, and it's just like it's like and it's like, oh my God, it's like I just. You know, I don't get like it's like oil, oil and water, right? It's like it is the total. They're Art and Aaron. They have the same initials, but they're the exact opposites.
Obviously you have bigger things on your to-do list with a couple of small kid scarves, but that would be a pretty damn good like TikTok or something. Art conversations with Aaron.
I don't even know what
TikTok that would be funny.
Figure it out.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
I
want to,
Robert. What? I think 20-ish. Nothing. I'll type it.
Well, anyway, I want to switch gears here because there was a really good article this week in The Athletic about what's happening in Cleveland right now with their stadium. Former Steelers minority owner Jimmy Haslam, he wants to pretty much move the Browns out of Cleveland. Now, as far as I remember, they've pretty much always been downtown Cleveland, and he wants to move them out to a suburb. He wants to build a dome stadium. He wants to build a big entertainment complex around it. And we've joked about this a little bit before on the show, but I think Steelers fans need to pay attention to this because the lease for Acrisure is up, I believe, in 2030. And look, you've got to stay relevant with your stadium. Whether we like it or not everybody has a Lambeau. And even the Chicago Bears, who've had Soldier Field since the 1920s, they're talking about moving out to the suburbs and building a dome stadium as well. So, Ian, how much should we be paying attention to this in just thinking that this is something that the Steelers are going to have to deal with?
Yeah, not just the situation in Cleveland, but the one in Washington as well.
Yeah,
they're talking about coming back into the city center, but they want to build a dome and a big entertainment complex so they can host things year round.
Absolutely,
and not just have football, but also have NCAA tournament basketball and host
conventions, all kinds of shit, and then have a hotel right there on site.
Right.
Beyonce concerts.
Yeah, exactly. So
Beyonce, yeah. And
Peter Frampton's back.
Taylor too.
Well, of course.
Right.
Anyway, to your point,
is it Twitch talk or TikTok? Fucking.
I don't do that snap face thing.
Yeah. No, that snap face.
So no, but I think both situations are worth watching. That both Washington and Cleveland have always had outdoor stadiums, and teams are going this route now because they realize that instead of just having a venue that you fill 10 times a year for NFL football games and then maybe a couple outdoor summer concerts, like there's a lot more opportunities to host events, to have everything in one place, hotels, training facilities, things like that. And there's just not room on the north side for the Steelers to build something like that. There just isn't. I mean, you've got a river on one side and a highway on the other side. They're kind of stuck in the footprint that they have. And the Steelers right now are tied in with Pitt. And I completely agree, Zach. Football's meant to be played outdoor in the elements, preferably in the snow in the wintertime.
Yes.
Like, dome stadiums are bullshit. And I'll say that, but I'm also trying to be a realist here with my analysis that, I mean, we've said on the show before that, like, you know, some land in like Beaver County just outside of Cranberry with some pretty low taxes could, you know, lower than Allegheny County taxes would probably be pretty attractive because you've got two major highways that come through there with, you know, 79 and then the Turnpike. Pittsburgh isn't very easily accessible for major highways either. So it's, you know, if you look at it objectively and not, you know, take the black and gold colored glasses off, take the, you know, the Steelers have always been on the North Shore. They're going to stay on the North Shore. I completely agree with all that. And as a Pittsburgher, as a Yinzer, I want them to stay on the North Shore. But the reality of the situation is, as a business decision, they're probably going to think long and hard. They're probably going to think long and hard about something a little farther away from the city center that's more accessible from different areas and can host more venues. And I hate to say a dome, but I mean, it's where everything's going now. And if the city wants to host big events, it's one of those things.
And look, I just to clarify a little bit on the Cleveland stuff.
I hate it. I don't like it.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Just what's happening there is you have hold on, Ben. You have the ownership that wants, you know, they're not going to get what they want on the lakeshore, so they want to move to this Brook Park or whatever it is. And the mayor of Cleveland is basically saying, go ahead and go, because we are not burdening the city taxpayers with more taxes for something that you can afford to build. And so it's created a massive controversy there. And certainly you've got local businesses just like Pittsburgh. I mean, can you imagine the devastation that would have for you know, those areas on the North Shore, the businesses, you know, to see this all move outside there. So I think that's what I'm getting at when I talk about we have to pay attention to this. Scarps. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had a comment.
No, I
have one other. Go
ahead, Ian.
Point, though. The Steelers have always shared a stadium with somebody, right? They shared it with the Pirates when they were at Three Rivers.
True.
That they are not a team that is rolling in cash like some of these other organizations.
Yeah.
You look at, you know, you look at I mean, they have a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but you look at the list of, you know, wealthiest owners in the NFL, and Marooney's come in like 30th.
They're
like
down at the bottom.
32nd. 32nd.
They're down.
Marooney's are worth $1.2 billion. They are at the very bottom of the.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes, that's all. At the very bottom of the net worth of owners in the NFL. But I don't buy the notion that they don't have the money, because I'm sorry, they're the Pittsburgh Steelers. They can borrow money at a rate that's pretty close to 0%. They're not getting that, but they might be paying 2.5, 3 tops. They can do whatever they need to do to make that shit happen. But that said, I agree with what you were saying before. One, domes suck. We should play in the elements. We should see football in the elements all the time. And second, the NFLPA insists that all stadiums should be grass.
Yes, they have beaten that drum for a long time.
How in the hell do you grow grass in a dome?
Well, you'd have to do what Arizona does.
Yeah.
You just
stick on rollers.
Yeah, they put the field outside all week, and
you
then
could do
bring
that,
it
or
in.
you could do what they do in the in Europe, where they have the thing.
It literally like rotates it or something.
It rotates it down, and then they have the UV lights, and they grow it, and they have warmers under the field and all that shit. I don't know how you do it. That would be super expensive, ridiculously expensive, but that they have that. How do you marry the two? Like, how do you marry their need for grass with
So
Yeah,
retractable roof, basically.
let's not play in the elements, and let's also not play on grass.
and
I like what Seattle, the baseball team, has done, where they have a roof, but they have no walls, so they still have the wind coming in on days. The baseball team has a retractable roof that rolls over, but that you still have wind, so you still have some elements. So if it's raining, they don't get rainouts, but they do have some elements still involved in the game. I love that.
And Ben,
cool.
Ben, you bring up a great point, because it's not Safeco anymore. That's what it used to be called. But
whatever the field is.
Yeah. I think so. That field was built. I believe it opened the same year as PNC Park did, 2001. So they were innovative in that era, right? Like they were ahead of the time. I was talking about this earlier about the draft next year, and I know everybody's going to call me a hater, but the draft in Pittsburgh next year is going to be a nightmare. And Steelers freak, Jesus Christ. Steelers freaks talking about Ben's hair, but
it's like you're surprised. It's like you're surprised when you're like it's like you're surprised when he makes these comments.
He gives me just enough shit. He gives me just. But anyway, so the draft next year in Pittsburgh is going to be a logistical nightmare.
Yeah. Well, Aaron Rodgers is a lot more likely to play here without wondering about Wi-Fi disrupting brain activity.
So part of the issue with the draft next being here next year is that Pittsburgh is confined because there's rivers, there's hills, there's valleys.
There aren't enough hotels, No,
there are not.
Not enough Ubers, not enough Airbnbs.
Yeah, that's fair. But so you could still, and I think the new model for these colder weather stadiums is going to be how Buffalo's doing it. It's not a dome. But it's covered enough. It's covered enough where the field is still exposed. And if the Steelers do a decent job right now with the grass, and that's sharing a field with Pitt. If the Steelers didn't have to share a field, I'm fully confident that their grounds crew could do a solid enough job where the grass would be fine, exposed to the elements. So you don't have to play in a dome in a cold weather city. But if you want to attract, Aaron, I love you. If you want to attract a WrestleMania, right? And I listen, I fucking grew up on WWF.
Fuck you,
listen, I get it. I totally get it. And it's true though. If you want to be a revenue generator, if you want to bring different things, if you want to bring Final Fours here and this and that, I get it. But if you also want to stay old school, you can do it. The problem is you can't be in the city. Yeah. You can't. And the Rooneys love this city. And as long as there's a Rooney here, more than likely the stadium is going to be in this city.
Do you guys think that and Ian, maybe you were going to hit on this with your comment, is the draft a little bit of a litmus test here to see what they could possibly handle if they choose to build some new facility that could bring in a Super Bowl someday? I mean, is that what's happening here? Because the NFL has to know.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit. The one other challenge with
sorry, this chat is unbelievable tonight. Fantastic. What the hell happened? Zach, get in here every week, babe. We need context. Go ahead. Anyway.
Speaking of the chat though, A, we love you guys, you make the show. But B, it's the Thursday after Memorial Day. This is the complete dead season for football. Right. You guys are crushing it in the chat tonight. Right. This is awesome. This is so much fun. All. You guys make our show more fun.
Way.
So, but with I think, Mark, you're partially right. The other challenge with building a new stadium is it takes 2 years to build one of these things.
Yes.
Yep.
And if you're not going to be in the city Like, where are you gonna put it so they can still play somewhere? Because it's not like they have another stadium where they could play. Like, remember when I think it was Seattle was building
They
theirs.
played at UW.
They played it at
Yeah.
UW for a year or two, right? But they share a stadium with Pitt, so there's no other stadium. Like, what are you gonna do? Be like, oh, we'll play at Beaver Stadium for 2 years while we tear down Heinz Field and build a new stadium on the same site? Like, there's no other stadium around that you could play at while they're constructing a new one.
They could build a new stadium where the old Three Rivers was, and then just have no parking.
They could do that.
I'm being sarcastic, but they could hypothetically do that.
Right.
The problem,
but they've built like Stage AE and other stuff there. Like
you could demo Stage AE pretty fucking easy.
True, but that's another
point.
Like the Sports Exhibition Authority owns all that. Like, my point was they're kind of stuck in their footprint. Like, they don't have a lot of room.
No,
to grow.
Very limited.
They can just
space.
go out to Cranberry. It's fine. But
back to my original point. Yes.
The point. The overall point, the 30,000 foot point is that in order to stay competitive, you have to have a stadium where you can attract events year round, right?
Yeah,
you have to.
Yeah.
So you're leasing this thing year round from whoever, the county, or maybe you own it.
Sports and Exhibition Authority.
Ideally, you own the stadium, right? And you're doing events there year round. Constantly.
Well, that's the other thing.
You are generating revenue because you have to do that in order to be competitive as an organization. In order to do that in Pittsburgh, you have to have a dome, which sucks, but it's the new reality. That's why so many teams are building dome stadiums or want to.
It is. I mean, obviously,
Altoona is nice.
Robert Graff with a Century 3 reference. Oh my god, I love this.
I
fucking love that.
That would be the worst traffic nightmare to get to. Oh my goodness! Like, I live in the South Hills and I avoid 51 like the plague. Okay, no. So 2 points here. First is on the draft.
Steelers Freak has a great point right there. New stadium with outside the city with parking and a rail system.
Yeah. So
rail system, dude.
Well, okay. All right. This ties my 2 points together.
Sorry, Ian.
Bear with me here. I got.
Ian's a city planner. Stop.
Right. All right. So first off, Ben brought up a good point that right now the Steelers are essentially leasing their stadium from the Sports and Exhibition Authority, which is essentially run by Allegheny County.
Correct.
The parking garages and lots are mostly owned by the Pittsburgh Parking Authority. The Steelers are making like no money from this, right? If you build your own stadium out in Cranberry, and the Steelers have fought with the Sports and Exhibition Authority over adding seats, adding everything they want to do in the stadium, right?
Adding a urinal is an argument.
At some point, are they like, fuck you guys? We're moving out to Cranberry, Butler County or Beaver County or whoever else is going to give us all this land. They're going to give us tax breaks. Whatever else to build a stadium there. We're going to own it so we don't have to lease it from you assholes. We're going to own the parking so we collect all the parking revenue from everybody coming here and don't have to give the part. Like, there is a lot of, I'll say, revenue that's happening that isn't going to the Steelers right now. So,
and if you look, Ian, at those top owners, a lot of them own their own stadium, which means they own the park. Yes, you're exactly right.
Yeah,
and they host all kinds of shit. Look at Jerry fucking
Jerry World is busy every weekend of the year, every single weekend.
And they haven't been to a conference title game in fucking 30 years.
Do you think Jerry gives a fuck about that?
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, Jerry.
Maybe you should.
Digress.
Yes. My second point. And usually Ben is the bright ray of sunshine on the show. And
am I?
Yeah. But I have to be the
You're not the buzzkill. That's Scarp's job.
All right. Well, I gotta be the buzzkill here for a minute.
Buzzkill.
So, because this is the world I live in.
All right.
So, maybe someone in the chat heard about this. You four probably didn't, but the organization currently known as Pittsburgh Regional Transit used to be the Port Authority of Allegheny County.
Okay.
That operates all the buses, the T lines, everything else, is in massive financial trouble.
Ooh.
And is like begging the state right now for more money to help fill this huge budget gap that they have.
That's not good.
And they are threatening basically like 40% cuts to everything, including like cuts for, T lines running extra for Steelers and Pirates games.
Wow.
And including like, we're not going to do anything extra for the draft. So like whatever's running, like, so not only the logistical nightmare of like all these people trying to get down there for the draft, but if the Port Authority or what used to be the Port Authority, if PRT can't figure their shit out or get some money from the state, like there could be a massive like public transit, I don't want to say disaster, but
it would be ugly.
It would be really ugly that a huge lack of public transit happens like a year before the draft comes to Pittsburgh. And so just keep an eye on that storyline as we go through the next year, because they basically told the state, legislature, like, we need you to give us millions of dollars or we're going to have like 40% cuts to all of our routes in, like 4 months. So keep an eye on that one.
And that's why I brought this up.
I apologize.
Yes.
I brought it up.
And I don't like being the Debbie Downer, but
I'm laughing at Cliff. I wasn't laughing at you.
No, you're Ian. You're absolutely right. And I have a really, really bad feeling about this draft in Pittsburgh. I'm telling you right now, people are going to fucking swim across the rivers to get. And I'm serious. I wouldn't
think it's going to be one of those. It's not that far. Let's go.
I'm serious. I think
if you have any open wounds on your body, you're going to catch all kinds of diseases.
I think you probably all of you guys could swim them on. You could do it. I have faith in you.
I mean, if you, I wouldn't. If you got to swim them on, that means you got to swim the Allegheny and Ohio to get over there. So I would say don't. But like, I'm telling you right now, like, oh my God, this city shuts down in a thunderstorm, man. Just wait until Roger Goodell gets on stage and starts getting booed, and every jagoff jumps off the Point State Park into the Allegheny and tries to fucking swim over. Oh my God.
Oh shit. You're going to have people parachuting in off Mount Washington.
Shit,
man. Anything else before we go to Mr. Casey Kasem tonight?
I hate my life, but yes.
You'll be fine.
Really?
Hey, if you're new to the show and you haven't stayed long enough for Casey Kasem, then you're in for a real treat. He might be dead. But we resurrect that son of a bitch every single week on this program. So let's turn it over to the late, great Mr. Casey Kasem.
All right, hold on. I need to compose myself.
He's got to prime himself.
Casey's coast to coast, American Top 40. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was May 29th, 1973. Our favorite correspondent, Ryan, is back with us again this week, and he writes, Dear Casey, there's a Yinzer who's sure all that glitters is black and gold, and she's buying a stairway to 7. Casey, that's, of course, a parody of Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin, which was once again the top-ranked song on WDVE's Memorial Day 500.
Hell yeah.
If you need a recap, a thorough one, I might add, I suggest you check out our very own Ian's Twitter feed. He was dialed in like Roethlisberger on that final drive in Super Bowl 43. For those that don't know, WDVE is the Steelers' flagship network, and every Memorial Day, they count down the top 500 rock and roll tunes. It's become a tradition, much like your uncle getting absolutely hammered at Thanksgiving and getting into a fight with the refrigerator because Columbus Day is no longer recognized. As I mentioned earlier, Ian had incredible coverage, and one of his final thoughts were the snubs, the songs that didn't make the list. And let me tell you, Casey, some of the emissions were more breathtaking than when I tried Sydney Sweeney's new soap infused with her used bathwater. I'm not making that up. Google it. The emissions included White Room by Cream, Born to Be Wild by Steppenwolf, and Down on the Corner by CCR. But the one that got my attention was Another One Bites the Dust by Queen.
Oh, wow.
Which instantly reminded me of a little nugget dropped by Mike Tirico on Sunday Night Football. If you recall, Tirico shared a story about Mike Tomlin playing Pee Wee football, and after winning the championship, the team went to a local establishment to celebrate, and he kept putting that song on the jukebox. And they played it heading into the break. Casey, it was such a nice little story. Until I remembered that Pee Wee title was the last playoff game Mike won.
Fucking bastard. Wow.
Shit. Casey, of course I'm joking. Mike Tomlin won a Super Bowl with Cowers players.
Oh,
Again, I'm joking. He's won plenty of postseason games, but none since the 2016 season.
Yeah.
That's not a joke.
No.
But I do like Mike Tomlin, and I think he can still right the ship. It's definitely frustrating times indeed for Steelers Nation. Yins to the left of me, Yinzers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Well, Ryan, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. And keep your radio tuned right where it is, down 2 spots to number 15 this week. Here's Steelers Wheel with Stuck in the Middle with You.
I wondered when we were finally going to get a Steelers Wheel in here. Been a while, yeah. Outstanding. Outstanding.
Forever.
Hey, thanks everybody that was in the chat tonight. Thanks everybody that listens. And
I hate
again,
myself.
That's
thank
number
you so much.
417.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Wait.
Cool.
What was?
Stuck
Oh,
in the
that
middle
was
with you.
okay.
Stuck in the middle was
Stuck in the
417.
middle, yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say, Ian, I saw your snub list. I know another this was not on that list.
No. Stuck in the middle. That was.
Got you.
I cannot hear that song without thinking about Reservoir Dogs, though.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Dude gets his ear fucking cut off. Like, how can you not remember that? Like,
It's been a while.
That was
since I've
horrible.
seen it.
that was horrible. I know, right? Like, you can't. Those
Yeah.
are things you can't.
It leaves a
forget.
mark if you watch the movie.
Yes. Sorry,
It was-
spoiler alert if you haven't seen Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. We were a little bit late on that. Spoiler
Yeah.
alert.
I was
Right.
about to say,
Yeah.
was it Mr. Pink?
Yes. All right.
No,
Thanks
Mr.
everybody
Blonde.
for
Mr.
being here.
Blonde got
Love
his
you
ear on.
guys. Thanks so much for being in the chat. Thanks for listening and watching on your own time. We appreciate you guys so much
Thanks,
for
guys.
tuning in to
Yeah.
us 4 idiots here.
You
Make sure you check
people
out.
that show up every week. I love you guys so much. Like, you make it so much more fun.
He's starting
Like-
to sound like a Bud Light commercial.
Sorry. I'm a
Love you,
little bit
man.
intoxicated. I've had some drinks, but you guys make it fun to do the show. Like,
Yes.
without
absolutely.
you, we'd be like, well, we'd sit here and bullshit with one another.
To think
But
of all the years that we did this with nobody in
way
the chat.
more,
you know,
right?
How boring was it?
Way
back then,
more
right?
fun now. Oh my God.
Check out the site, steelcityblitz.com. Check us out on all our socials and all that great stuff. And once again, thanks everybody for being here with us. We'll be back next week. And hey, go Steelers.
Ravens suck. And by the way, Scarps is a huge crush on Mason Rudolph.
Oh, for fuck's sake.